Good evening. That sounds better. How we doing? Well, it's been a little bit quiet, but we'll change that now. It's really good to be here this evening with such a wonderful crowd of people, my colleagues and all of my friends and, should I say, co-workers facing me. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Campaign 2009. We decided to start with our National Council meeting, and we've invited members of the public to it. But it's good to have your house in order before you go and try and tell anyone else what to do. So we wanted to make sure that our people that are really close to us knew what's happening. And therefore, that's the route we're taking if you're wondering why the campaign is starting in this fashion. But for all of those who are wondering where the PPM is, we are here. And we're going to be here for the next 47 days. And we're going to be here after that. Are you with us? That's better. That's better. So, folks, I hear that they're out there saying, what has the PPM done? Well, that's what they're saying? Is that what they're really saying? That's what they're saying. Okay, well, let's tell them a few things, folks. I need to ask the chairman for a few hours to tell you half of what we've done since 2005, but we're not going to do that. I'm not going to abuse my 10 minutes that much. But I'm starting off, and I'm not going to mention the East-West Arterial Road because that was mentioned already. I am not going to mention the road infrastructure repair and rehabilitation program, the many roads repaired and paved, and the many speed humps, street lights, and drains that were installed. Not going to mention it. I'm not going to mention the many houses that were rebuilt and refurbished after Hurricane Ivan. Not going to mention it. Folks, I'm not going to mention that the Bodden Town Library was totally rebuilt. Thank you, Mr. Bob Watler and the audience for the roof. I am not going to mention that last Sunday or 2 Sundays ago, we reopened the Hague Bodden play field and the whole sports center that we have up there. I'm not going to mention it, folks. I'm not going to mention that we relit the Bodden Town Primary School field where people walk in the evenings in my district and where the young guys play during the week and where, when I have that little bit of energy, I try and join them. I am not going to tell you, folks, about many of the things because you're going to hear some more. But what I'm going to tell you, folks, is about this great party that we have, the PPM. That I must tell you about. But even if I stop right here, ladies and gentlemen, you already got a lot of good reasons to stay with the PPM. Can I hear you again? Yeah, that's what we need, some energy. Don't stop the progress. You got it. You got it. We're going to sing it right through. Folks, in all seriousness, we are taking our people to another level. That's what we're trying to do as a government. Young people, we are doing a lot for you. Our elderly people, we are doing a lot for you. We are about empowering our Caymanian people. In 2005, ladies and gentlemen, my dear friends, the PPM said that it believes that the government's obligation was to ensure that our people were working. We espoused a Caymanian first policy. And that is why we spend so much money on education so that we can execute this policy. However, the non-visionaries in the UDP and the not-so-independents had no foresight, and under their watch, the education system failed. That's what happened. We did not prepare our people. That is why we are where we are, folks. We had to import even more labor to sustain our economy. This little Cayman Islands is a hotbed. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of work that's needed to be done, and there are a lot of workers that are needed for that work. And unfortunately, it is always my dream to have every single Caymanian who wants to work working. But sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, you cannot put a person in a post if they're not ready for it. You are setting them up for failure. I will not mention the Stardust fiasco. I will not mention that. Then came the PPM, ladies and gentlemen, along with Minister McLaughlin, a man who has a deep, deep desire to see his people progress. A man who just came back from Sweden representing this country. You show me one of them out there now that claim they're running for office that could do what he just did. We'll talk more about that Saturday, Tuesday night in Georgetown. And we are now getting our people educated, folks, and ensuring that they are given equal access to employment. They can compete now only under the PPM. I'm going to take you through a few things that we've done along with the education policies. We have created a job placement unit. For the first time in this country, ladies and gentlemen, we now have a job placement database to match unemployed Caymanians with vacant job opportunities. I'm not talking about hearsay. I just used it. The guy started working for me this week. It's working, folks. It's working. And of course, they're going to say I hired a Jamaican. He speaks with a Jamaican accent, but he's one of us now. He has permanent residence. Due to measures we have put in place, ladies and gentlemen, to avoid work permit abuse, we are rewarding employers who provide Caymanians with career advancement opportunities. That's something new. It's called the new accreditation system under the Immigration Department. The Cayman Islands Investment Bureau's role has been enhanced, and it is being utilized in many areas. Since we took office, over 400 local entrepreneurs have set up their own businesses. Every year, the number climbs. Now, do you see why we will not stop the progress? We're not stopping it, folks. We got a good thing going on. Now, let's look at how the PPM has been taking care of families, our women, our children, our elderly. Over the past 4 years, our focus has been on strengthening families and, by extension, our communities. We paid particular attention to our children and elderly. And I'm going to take you through a few areas in that regard. We developed legislation for the welfare and protection of our children. We conducted the first ever national assessment of living conditions with the aim of designing programs to improve living conditions. Thank you, Mr. Eden. We increased monthly payments to our veterans and others in need of support. Thank you, Mr. Eden, again. We rebuilt the Golden Age home in West Bay to increase capacity for residential care. That's Mr. Eden again. That's a hot trick, old boy. We introduced Meals on Wheels in East End in partnership with the Rotary Club. We supported the opening of the new extension to the Kirkconnell Community Care Center in Cayman, Brac. And we have secured the ownership of property in Northside to expand delivery services to the elderly in the district. Madam Speaker, we come in. We come in. Folks, we can't go back. We can't go back to pre-2005. How can we? Everything about that was bad, including I-1 and the UDP. Stay with the PPM. Don't stop the progress. What you say? Stay with PPM. Don't stop the progress.